Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this webinar. And so, just to introduce myself very quickly, my name is Saj Rai. I have almost 2 decades of experience in various industries. As a trainer, I have almost a decade of experience in teaching cybersecurity courses. These are some of the certifications that I have. Just a few of them I've mentioned here: CISP, CISM, of course, CISA, CGIT, CCSP, etc. And I teach many of these cybersecurity related courses. So that's about me very briefly. And so welcome to this very special CISM Masterclass webinar from behalf of infosec train. So I'd like to welcome everyone here. So let's get started. So what I would like to do is I'll give you the basic background about CISM, etc. Then I will talk about it briefly. If you have any questions, we will discuss that. And after that, I'd like to spend some time giving you a taste of what CISM content looks like. So we will go over some of the concepts, the basic security related concepts I'll talk about. And after which we will also look into some kind of questions, some, I think, 6, 7 questions, typically from CISM. So how it looks like. So we'll try to solve that. So that'll give you a taste of what CISM looks like. So hopefully it will help you decide to go for a CISM exam. Okay, so before understanding what CISM is, let's kind of understand about ISACA, right? So ISACA is the parent company. It's the company which is responsible for CISM. So ISACA, this was established in 1969, initially stood for Information Systems Audit and Control Association. That's its formal name. However, I think it's grown much beyond that, and so today we just refer to it as ISACA. The certifications which ISACA is more very kind of quite known is the CISA, CRISC, CISM, CGIT. These are the 4, and they've added a few more here. You can see a CSX, cybersecurity practitioner, and data solution engineer, etc. And of course, CISA is one of the most popular and one of the oldest certification. CISM is relatively newer, but still, I think it's been almost 18 years in existence. ISACA is again has a lot of materials. We will go over that. I'll take you through the website very briefly. You can take a look at that. It's also responsible for maintaining and creating that COVID framework, which is quite popular. And there are lots of materials, a lot of content, a lot of opportunities for you to learn and grow in the ISACA world. Anyway, so our focus, anyways, today is on CISM, so that is what we will be discussing about. Okay, CISM. This is Certified Information Security Manager. So that's the certification that we're going to talk about. We'll understand a brief about it, and if you have any specific questions, you can always ask. I will not be getting into too much of information. A lot of information already available, but anyways, I'll try to give you information so that you can kind of understand what it is. Now, this one, as I said, much relatively newer in comparison to the CISA. CISA has been more than 40 years in existence. CISM for about 18 years now, established in 2002. And this one, again, is this certificate is accredited by the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, under the ISO IEC 17024. This was in 2005. So it's not easy to be NC accreditation. So which is a testament in itself that CISM is one of the most well-known, regarded certificate. And so far, there are about 46,000 professionals who are certified since 2002. So that's the brief about CISM. We'll kind of get into more about it. So as a if you're somebody who was managing information security in the organization, so you'd be the right person to possess this knowledge and experience to manage information security program within the organization. Job practice area. Think of it like the syllabus. The job practice area, there are 4 of them, right? So there are 4 domains. So domain 1, information security governance. Domain 2 is information risk management, 30%. Domain 3, information security management, development and information security program development and management, 27%. And domain 4 is information security incident management, about 19% there. I do not really focus on those percentages. I would encourage not to do so. Important thing is that you have to learn everything and understand everything. So in order to pass the exam, so there's no need to focus on any particular domain just because it's got a little more extra questions there. Okay, so focus on all the domains. That would be my advice. So these are the four domains. And so when I talk about job practice area, I'll take you through that list as well. We'll quickly understand very briefly what this means. What else is there? Yeah, so the benefits of the exam again. These are again very generic things here, right? So expands your knowledge and skills and builds the confidence, of course, increases your market value, builds customer confidence and your credibility, and helps meet employment's requirements. At many jobs require you to be CISM certified, so it's usually a very good requirement to have. So what I want to do is quickly take you through the. So I hope you will see this. So this is the website isaca.org, and you'll find all the information regarding ISACA and all the different certifications and credentials that they provide, along with various different activities that they continues to do, and for your growth and for your learning. Anyways, so focus, as I said, is going to be on CISM, so we'll kind of do that. Let's see what's there. Okay, so learn more about it. So I would highly recommend that you go over this document. Okay, I'll kind of tell you what are the important things that you need to consider. So there are all these information provided here, and so it says here the in CISM job practice details. So let's kind of open this up. Okay, just job practice areas. And these are the domains that we talked about: information security governance, information risk management, information security program development and management, information security incident management. So the details are all here. It's kind of very detailed. There are two parts of these: task statements and knowledge statements that you need to learn from here. Okay, for example, let's take a look at a few on here. It says establish and or maintain an information security strategy in alignment with organizational goals and objectives to guide the establishment and ongoing management of the information security program. It says establish or maintain an information security governance framework to guide activities that support the information security strategy. So these are some of these are the things that you are expected to know here, right? These are the tasks that you need to know, and the knowledge. Like for example, you use techniques like SWOT analysis, gap analysis, threat research, and you need to have knowledge about what the business goals, objectives, functions, processes, practices mean, and so on. So, and obviously, there's a whole lot that you need to know here. Okay, so this is something that you can go over and kind of read through and see, if this makes sense to you. But it's a very detailed, if you see here, there's a very detailed documentation. You can really go over this and kind of know whether you understand this or not. Okay, so as I said, there are four domains, quite in detail, and you can, I'll leave it to you. Okay, I'm not going to get into each and every one of them. But as I said, today I will kind of take you through one of them, one of the small concepts here, so just to give you a taste of what CISM is about. The other document that you can actually see here, it's all here, the links are open here. So what I will do is I've already downloaded this, I'll quickly share this with you. One of them is this exam, okay, CISM, I hope you're able to see this now. So I've already downloaded this, I'm gonna share this here with you. So this is already available here, and it has all the information regarding the CISM, facts and figures. Like I said, 46,000 plus professionals, accreditation under ISO IEC, and so the experience required is at least 5 years of relevant professional work experience. The exam is 150 questions, and it's all multiple choice questions, MCQs, and you got to complete that in 4 hours. And well, the salary, of course, is quite impressive here. This is in the US average, and the exam is offered in several locations, and it's up to you again to select those locations available at your city. And currently, ISACA has also is also allowing you to take exams from home. So that's another advantage, or I think it's because of the COVID situation. So you can take the exam from home as well, the prometric option. So that's something that you can look into if you want to opt that. as well. Okay, so benefits I'll mention here. I think we've already talked about this. And so these are the domains we talked about. And so there are materials, study materials that they have. The the CISM review manual is something which is is a good resource. You can look into that. They also have a question answers and explanation manual. So that is also a good resource to go through. There are other books available as well. I think one of the book that I tend to use is the All-in-One from this is by Peter Gregory. So this is another book which is very good. It's not here. It's not an official book from ISACA, but so that is something that I also use all the time. These are the official manuals from CISM. Okay, so this is something that you can refer to as per your preparation. Anyway, so there's another thing I want to quickly take you through. Again, these I would like you to explore these documents. All right, so I'm not getting get into each and every part here. This is something you can explore. Okay, so this is another document that you can download. This is the certification exam candidate guide. So this is a common for all the 4 exams. So it kind of talks to you about all of these things, like what are the code of ethics which you need to subscribe to as part of the certification process. Regarding the exam, how do you prepare for the exam? After the exam, what do you do, etc. So I'll kind of take you through that very briefly again. Okay, so all this information is here. So CISM, so that's what we're going to focus on. Okay, so again, this is focused on this CISM exam is for anybody who is overseeing or assessing the enterprise information security function. So if your job is like a security managers, IT managers, CISO, etc. So this would be the perfect certificate for you. And so you need 5 years of experience in information security management. There are waivers if that is applicable to you. There's a maximum of 2 years. So suppose you're a CISA, you're a CISSP, etc. There are waivers for that as well. And we've already talked about the 4 domains. And what else? Yeah, so the exam is 150 multiple choice questions, which you have to attempt within 4 hours, which is quite sufficient. And for me, I think 4 hours is quite a lot of time. I think it should have just been 3 hours. Anyway, so the examination fee, this is something that you need to be aware of. So if you are an ISACA member, you need to pay $575. Well, if you're not a member, then it's $760. So my suggestion is that you become a member. I think it's about $135 if I'm not mistaken. And so it's always a benefit to you become a member first and then kind of paying the examination fee. I think you save some money there. But there are other benefits as well. So if you want to buy certain resources, many of those things are for free if you're a member already, and you also get a very huge discount. So it's worth becoming a member every year. So that is something that you need to kind of consider. Well, let's not look at that. Okay, so all the information is here. So I'm just going to skip through this to whatever is relevant. Okay, so the exam, earlier on, the exam used to be a paper-based exam. So later on, they changed it to a computer-based. This was in 2016, I think. 2017 was when the first computer-based exam was held. And they also changed the format quite a lot in between. So earlier on, we could only take exam, on a couple of slots available. Today, you can book the exam anytime. And so I think that's a wonderful decision by ISACA to allow you to take the exam anytime you want, anytime. There is no restriction. Okay, so what you just need to do is to be to prepare for the exam and take the exam and and get certified. So we kind of understand that process. Okay, so there are a lot of details here. Obviously, you can go through this. I will not be taking you through these details. Anyway, so let's back to the presentation and understand some of those details. Okay, so we've gone through this. Now the process, the CISM certification process. Again, briefly, you register for the exam, right? This is where you pay your examination fee, and then you schedule exam, right? And you take the exam, go to that center, or now you can do it online as well, and then exam. So that's the first part. Passing the exam doesn't mean you are CISM certified professional yet. What you need to do is there's a form that you need to fill up. And this is the process where you need to fill that documentation. So basically, the documentation process is to provide proof that you have those relevant experience. Okay. So if you have those experience, then you can apply for that. So I think you need to pay about $50 along with that application fee as well. And so once you do that, once you apply for that certification, and then that is when you are provided with a CISM certificate. Okay, so just passing the exam is doesn't guarantee you that you get the certification. So once you are certified, now the question is it forever? And the answer is no. It's only valid for 3 years, and quite rightly so, because the knowledge keeps on changing, right? So I mean, what you learned 10 years back may not be as relevant today, with newer threats coming in, newer techniques coming in, etc. Anyway, so in order to be relevant, in order to maintain your certificate, you need to be earning some CPEs. Okay, what does it mean? CPE, continuing professional education. These are points that you need to earn in order to kind of maintain your certificate. Now, how do you earn these points? Is the question. Now, there are lots of opportunities for you to earn the CPEs. It's a simple thing like if you attend some kind of webinar. I mean, this particular webinar, when you're attending it, you will earn some CPEs. Okay, for that matter. And so there are many activities that you could do. Okay, so a whole list of activities: attending webinars, attending some training sessions, teaching itself. Now, when I teach here, I probably will get about 2 CPEs for the 2 hours that I am here, right? So, and there are various other activities that you need to do, and you need to earn about 120 CPEs in 3 years. Okay, that's an average about 40 CPEs, like 40 hours in a year. I think that is not too much, right? It's not too much. So for your self improvements, self growth, I think 40 hours of investment is not too much. So you can earn these CPs. There are lots of opportunities, like I said. Even just watching webinars, 40 hours of webinars should be sufficient. Okay, so just don't worry about the CPs. You can always earn that. There are lots of opportunities for you to do so. And so also you need to pay a maintenance fee every year or so. So that's another part to this. And once you do these things, then your certificate would be automatically renewed. Okay, so you do not have to worry about it. You do not have to take the exam again. But if you don't do this thing, then you'll get into trouble. Okay, so let's understand the CISM for now. And so how do we lose the CISM certifications? You can lose through various activities. One is that you do not earn those CPEs. Okay, like I said, I see no reason why you should not earn those CPEs. It's quite simple. You need to earn at the minimum 20 CPEs in a year, but at the end of 3 years, you need to have 120 CPEs. It's not too much. Well, failure to pay the maintenance fee. Yeah, so this is sometimes a little concern. Many people do not want to pay that, but I think it's worth paying that small amount. I think it's $100 odd. I think it's worth having those paying that, and because you become a member, you earn and you learn as well. So it's worth having that. And also, if you violate certain policies, ethics, etc., so you could lose your certification even then. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, so exam preparation. Well, we got to be first of all familiar with the CISM job practice areas. Now, so the various ways to do that. One, of course, is self-study. The books are available. I've talked about some of those materials, and you can self-study. Again, if you are experienced, I mean, you could do that yourself. However, if you want to attend some of our future session, I think it's coming up quite soon. So you're most welcome to join that. I'll be happy to explain you those concepts. Okay. And after which there needs to be iterative study. So you got to study again and again, so in a way to understand those concepts and really grasp those concepts really well. And there needs to be a self-assessment. Again, you need to prepare and kind of and understand what those concepts are. So in terms of self-assessment, so it's important to do these tests when we'll help you with those materials, we have some of the content which you can use to self-assess. But do not focus too much on self-assessment at the beginning. Like I said, the focus should be to understand the concepts. And then you can use these assessments later on to kind of validate. Okay, so again, this is something that I would highly recommend you don't cram. And there are a few exams I can tell you that, I will tell you, okay, this is, you need to study dumps and you pass the exam. This is not one of them. Okay, so you really need to understand the concepts. And if you do understand concepts, exam is not going to be very difficult if you understand the concepts. But avoid cramming. I have a lot of people coming up to me and say, I've done 5,000 questions, all these dumps I did, I scored really well. I scored 99% in your assessment. I still failed the exam. And I kind of asked them very basic questions like, what's the difference between this and that? Okay, for example, list privilege or need to know, etc. And I very quickly understand that they do not understand those basic concepts. And what they would done was, just try to go through those dumps and try to mug up those dumps and try to kind of hope that some of those questions would be repeated in the exam. And sadly, these questions will not be repeated. Absolutely not. The concepts will be repeated. That's where, do not cram. There is nothing to, I don't think there's anything to rote memorize in these exams. Understanding the concept is important. Okay, if there is any rote memorization, I will tell you that, hey, you need to rote memorize this part. But otherwise, absolutely no cramming. And finding a study group I think is important to motivate each other. I think it's important that you do so. There are a lot of communities available online. And so if you join our study group, and if you join our of course, we will have, we can always learn from each other. Okay, so that was the basic thing about the CISM exam. And so what I wanted to do was kind of do a very basic lesson with you. And what we're looking to is some basic concepts like the CIA Triad, which is not typically explained there in the exam, in the CISM, but it is important to understand that concept. Okay, so what I would like to do is I'll give you a brief, and this is very important for every security professional to understand the concept of the CIA Triad. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. If you are, fantastic. And if you're not, we'll kind of learn together, right? So that's the idea here. As I said, the CIA Triad is not, you do not have to learn as CIA Triad, but it is important to understand as any security professional what this Triad is. Well, it stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That's what this is, right? So, in your own words, what do you think confidentiality means? Confidentiality, in a way, means that you should prevent your private and confidential information from being accessed by any unauthorized individuals. Okay, so that's what it means. So your confidential information should only be accessed by authorized individuals. So that's what confidentiality means. Yes, so that is correct. Now, what are the typical threats to confidentiality? Let's quickly understand that. An intentional attack. Okay, somebody trying to get inside your data center and try to kind of leak that information. It could be an accidental leakage. Yes, human error. Absolutely correct. So I've had a couple of, I think, incidents where I've seen a couple of incidents where people have a very confidential data and email to the wrong person, right? Email to the wrong person. So CC somebody, and that information was now with somebody else who was not supposed to have it. Accidental leakages like that, or some very crucial data in the USB pen drive, etc. Sometimes if authentication and authorization systems are not properly configured, then you could have these issues, right? For example, permissions are not set properly. So as a normal user gets an admin access, okay, that's again a problem there. So so that it wasn't the person's fault as such, but it's probably a mistake, or the with the person or with the system. hardware or software failures could also lead to confidentiality issues. Anyway, so these are some of the threats. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but to just give you a sense of what different kind of threats could be there for your confidential data. And so the ways to again overcome these challenges. One of them is encryption. So you need to have an idea about what encryption is. In the exam, and you don't have to go into too much of technical details. You need to understand what the encryption. You may need to encrypt your data. That's information should be good enough. So again, encryption means you're going to convert your data into an unreadable format, right? So you send that data in a manner which is unreadable, and the recipient will have a way to decrypt that and read the original message. Access controls again is a way to ensure that only the relevant people are able to access those information. They're not able to access without permission. So the access control is very important. And well, you may have devices such as firewalls and so on, right? Or even NDAs, policies that can help you protect your data. Yeah, multi-factor authentication, etc. Yes, you can have those things, certainly. Okay, so these are some of the things about confidentiality. How about integrity? If I were to ask you integrity, that's a different kind of integrity. We're talking now here in terms of security, data security, system security. So that integrity is also important. So we want to ensure the data is not compromised. Yeah. Ensure that unauthorized alteration of data doesn't take place. Okay, these are, I think, good definitions. I think most of you are correct. So here what we're saying is the information should be protected from intentional, unauthorized, or even accidental changes. Okay, so that's what we're saying, integrity. So we want to only allow authorized changes, authorized modifications is okay, but anything unauthorized should not be allowed. And so which is good. Now, in terms of again, threats integrity again could be intentionally somebody's trying to alter the data. Okay, so it can happen. Okay, somebody tries to delete the customer data, or somebody tries to, I don't know if it is possible to maybe during a bank transaction add a couple of zeros. Okay, as in a man in the middle attack. Okay, accidental modifications can happen again. System malfunctions can lead to integrity issues. Environmental factors such as maybe magnetism, dust, etc., can maybe sometimes it can alter the data. Okay, corrupt the data. It can happen. Okay, so the threats to integrity, of course, is sorry. The way to protect, we can look into hashing. Again, these are again cryptographic hash, checksums, etc. You can use database integrity, etc. Okay, but there are different ways to kind of protect integrity. Just few concepts here. How about availability? Okay, that's information should be available to the intended person only. That sounds more like availability, confidentiality. Information should be available when required. Okay, data information system shall be available at required or defined times to the authorized personnel. IT assets should be available when required by authorized person. Data needs to be available when required to make sure required data is available to intended users. So are you saying that the data system should be available whenever the person wants? So it should be 24/7, 365 days, 100% available. Is that what you mean? It should be available every time. Okay, ensuring seamless data access. Okay, somebody says it depends on the SLA. Yes, that's a good one. Yeah, so availability means your systems, functions, and data must be available on demand according to agreed upon parameters. So it may not necessarily be 24/7, 365 days, 100% available. I have not come across too many organizations which provides you 100% availability. It could be some agreement like SLAs saying 99.9% or 99.99% or whatever those agreed upon parameter is. Okay, and so that should be good enough. Again, depending on your requirement, you'll have those agreement and expect that kind of availability from the service providers. Now, when you talk about availability, and it's not just about data or information. Okay, it's about your systems and functions, etc. Yeah. So if your server goes down, well, you have an availability problem. If your internet connection goes down, again, you have an availability problem. Okay, so we need to look into so threats to availability could be malicious attackers, right? So trying to somebody mentioned a DOS attack, so denial of service attack. However, just to ensure you understand that DOS and DOS are two different things. I don't know if you're able to see my chat window. Okay, so DOS with a capital O and a DOS with a small o is very two different things. Any idea what's the difference between the two? Yes, absolutely correct. So the capital O is the disk operating system, right? So and with a small o is the denial of service. Just be careful about these terms. It may not look so different, but the sometimes these things matter. So just be aware of that. Anyway, so yeah, distributed denial of services and so on. These are whether you can have a virus or a worm, etc., which can bring down a system. Supply system failures. Okay, when I say supply system, it can be internet, even your water and gas and petrol, whatever, all those electricity. Again, if there is no electricity, again, you may not have systems up and running. Device or system failures. Okay, hard disk crash, as I said, or you can have a problem there. Environmental issues, yes. Natural calamity, yes. There was this case some time back where the entire region, I think Amazon region in Europe, kind of went down because of some lightning issues. So it can happen. So if there are earthquakes, etc., that can bring down a data center, we could have a problem there, right? If you do not have proper redundancies and things in place. So environmental issues will have a major effect in availability, of course. Okay, so just to give you an idea, so one of the things we could do, we can look into high availability systems and fault tolerant systems, avoiding any single point of failures, having redundant systems in place, so that if one system fails, you can always use the other one. Having backup procedures. Okay, so the backup is again very important. Ensure your data can be restored after a disaster. Okay, and so also we can also try to prevent any, like for example, DOS attack or DDoS attack, like you have IPS or WAF. What's a WAF, by the way? Web application firewall, brilliant there. So these are some of the things which can, of course, you can use to protect availability, etc. Again, this is just a very basic, kind of knowledge for you guys to that we need to understand what the CIA is, and like I said in the exam that we expect you to know what CIA is and the importance of this. Okay, so if I were to ask you, which of these three between CIA is the most important? Like suppose you had $100 to spend, where would you spend that? Would that be only spend $33 to do that? So let's quickly understand. Let's say let's take an example of Netflix. Okay, so Netflix. Let's say Netflix. So what would be the order of priority according to you? All the three of them in order. Again, I this is just again speculation. We don't work in I don't work in Netflix, but the availability requirement, of course, is quite important. The customer experience. The customer experience has to be seamless, and that's going to be a differentiator, right? So availability, yes, they have an amazing infrastructure, and they kind of spend a lot of money there. I think again, I'm just again guessing the integrity probably is the next for them, and then confidentiality as well. They're quite aware that people share username passwords. They're doing something about it, but I guess that may not be as important as availability and integrity. Again, just speculating. Anyways, how about in the military sector? What would be the order of priority according to you? Right, I think most saying it's the CIA, not the other CIA, but yes, I kind of think yes, confidentiality would be at the top of the list. Integrity, of course, availability is also important, but confidentiality is at the highest level. Is also what I feel again. And what about, let's say, a bank? What would be topmost priority? Let's say, just to kind of again hypothetical issues. The first, there were like, suppose there were two bugs. Okay, well, the first bug was that there was a URL tampering bug. In which a user is able to view somebody else's account details by just changing the URL parameter. Okay, just change the URL parameter and you're able to view somebody else's account details. Okay, so that was the first bug. In fact, this bug was there in one of the bank till about 4 5 years back, quite a serious one. So that's the first bug, right? And second bug was that a user was able to add a couple of zeros to their bank account. Okay, so which one would you address first? Anyway, so my sense is that you like to address the integrity issues first. Yeah, and so for most banks, integrity is something very high on the list. That, any transactions, there's a lot of transaction. Banking is all about transaction. You need to ensure that the transaction absolutely correct. No issues there. People should not be manipulating those numbers, or kind of manipulating the account numbers and the money going to a different account, or the an amount being manipulated, etc. So integrity, of course, is quite high on their list, and others might follow confidentiality, availability as well. Anyway, so the question which I went back to and asked you, which of these are, which is most important, and I think. The right answer was it depends on the organization, and that's what we kind of try to establish there, right? That's what we try to establish. Yes, it's not about when I said something is important that we do not give importance to the other part, but it's just that sometimes you need to take that decision. And as again, as security managers with limited budget, the question is, where do I put that money? What do I do? So those are some of the decisions that you need to take, and for that, again, as I said, you need to understand the organization's mission, the goals, their objectives, what is their priority, what is their strategy. So once you understand that, then it's easier for you to make those decisions. All right. So let's focus on that part now. So once we've understood these, again, this is a very basic concept like CIA, which now I'm sure everybody's understood, right? Let's move on to the next part, and this is something which is important again. So security governance. Okay, this is what again the CISM kind of focuses on. This is one of the first thing that we learn when you take up the CISM course, security governance. Again, without going too much into detail, I'll just focus on a few points, and we will kind of understand a few basic concepts here. All right. So the first thing I wanted to understand is that it's important. It's extremely important that as a security professional, you need to understand the mission, the strategy, goals, objectives of an organization, and accordingly align the security to help achieve that mission. Okay, so it's aligning that alignment is absolutely important. And in fact, the exam will ask you a lot of questions on this, a lot of questions, and so it's a very basic concept, but it's an important one. And let's understand this. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is a mission. So what is a mission? Well, a mission describes what the organization is going to do and why is it going to do that. Okay, if I were to I don't know if you can check it out yourself. If you were to look at Google's mission statement, I think Google's mission statement is to, I think this let's take a look at that. Okay, I hope you're able to see it. It says its mission statement is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Okay, so very, as you can see, is a broad statement. Not too much into detail, but gives you why the organization exists. How about Microsoft? It says our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. You see that? I mean, obviously a lot of explanation here, but that's a basic mission statement. So again, very broad statement. Nothing specific here, and so that's how a mission statement usually are for any organization. And so, in order to achieve these, missions for the organization, then we create strategies and goals and objectives, etc. So let's understand those concepts. All right. So here we go. So as I said, a mission is a very broad statement. Strategy is a very high level plan to accomplish its mission. So, like I said, for Google, the strategies probably have a search engine and or to maybe have those YouTube or whatever those strategy level, so create software for smartphones or maybe have hardwares or whatever the strategies, a very high level plan. Goals will be very specific and say these are the things we're going to do to help achieve that strategy plan. Okay, so goals are usually smart. We call it the smart goals. What does that mean, smart? Anybody? Smart goals. Okay, yeah, S is specific. M, I think, stands for measurable. A stands for achievable. R is I think realistic or relevant or whatever. And T stands for time bound. Okay, time bound, that's important. So when I have a goal, let's say, I will say that I will do this by this particular date and time. Okay, and I should have a way to measure that as well. So that's what goals are. So for example, a goal for Microsoft probably is to maybe create an operating system by this particular year, and this will do the specific things. And like I said, it should be irrelevant. It should be an achievable goal. Okay, and objectives are the smallest steps, activities, and milestones that must be completed in order to achieve a goal. Okay, so we'll create certain milestones, smaller steps to reach that goal. Those are called the objectives. So objectives will help you reach that goals. Goal will help you achieve those strategies to meet the mission. So this is how it's all related. Okay, so objective is more short term, goals are more intermediate term, and missions are really long term. So the strategy is more of the how. How are we going to achieve that? Achieve our mission. So strategy will help you. Okay. So, and again, as I said, you as a security professional, as a security manager, your goal is to align security with the business. That's one of the most important concept that you will have to understand. Okay. So I hope this is clear with everybody. So when you talk about information security governance, so I've kind of skipped those governance concept, etc. So I'm just focusing on information security governance. This is where you need. This is the system by which you control your organization's security and your assets. So when you have information security governance within your organization, then you're able to control your IT security from this governance system. And so it's a subset of your corporate governance. As I said, I've kind of skipped those governance concept, which we'll study in CISM more in detail. And this ensures that we are aligning the secure information security objectives strategies with the business objectives and strategies. So that alignment is extremely important, as I mentioned before. So having an information security governance will ensure that this is all aligned, and that the risks are being properly addressed within the organization, and ensuring that your information resources are being used effectively and efficiently. Okay, so that's the overall importance of having an information security governance, some of the benefits of having information security governance. Okay, so the outcome of any is, like I say, having a strategic alignment. Again, I keep saying that this is one of the most important concepts. It sounds very basic, but a lot of questions are asked on these. That alignment is important. Another important aspect to this information security governance is having a proper risk management. Again, CISM, we will kind of study that risk management is an entire domain on risk management, so we will kind of have to study this in detail. And value delivery, we will ensure that the whatever activities that we perform, it's going to give us optimum result. And the resources optimization is also, and that also happens. So you want to ensure that you are using your resources as effectively and efficiently as possible. Okay, we're going to measure the performance to ensure the KPIs are being met, etc. And assurance process integration. So yeah, so that's those are some of the things that we will kind of need to understand here. Okay, so that's all that I have to discuss today, just as a brief introduction to CISMs. Okay, so I hope the basic concepts are clear. Now let's look at some of the questions, the kind of questions that's usually asked in the exam. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so what we will do is we'll take a look at a few questions, and you'll see the type of questions are quite specific. So for example, if you see here, it says the best, okay, that's the keyword here. The best definition of a strategy is, what I want you to do is answer with 1A, 1B, 1C, or 1D. Okay, so we have goals, we had objectives, we had missions, we had strategy, and the goals, objectives, those are mostly the what part. So this is what we're going to achieve. Missions is mostly the what and the why, more on the why we want, what we want to do and why we want to do it as an organization at a very broad level. Okay, the strategy is more about the how part, right? So you got a strategy is to achieve its goals and objectives, whatever those objectives are, whatever the specific thing you're going to do, right? And so the objectives, goals are more of the what part, and strategies about the how part. Next part. Again, look at the question is most concerned with. Now, most of the security governance, if you look at security governance, it will cover all of these things. Okay, so when you talk about governance, we look at policies and risk assessments and strategies and so on. But the question is, which of this is most important when you're talking about security governance, right? So part of security governance, we will be creating security policies. We'll create those. We'll perform those risk assessments and so on. But the most important thing here is having that security strategy in place. Okay, so that's the most important factor here. Next one. See, this is another type of question which is quite interesting. So it says, which of the following should be put on first? Okay, so there might be, or maybe next could be another type of question, or last. So again, which of the following should be performed first when developing an information security plan? All right, so assessing the current levels of security awareness, it is important, but again, that's not very important purpose of information security plan. Again, the understanding the business strategy, the objectives, the goals. Remember, that is going to be the most important. Okay, that's the first thing that you will do. Okay, somebody says, okay, let's have an information security plan. The first thing should be, okay, let's understand what the business strategy is, because that alignment is important. Okay, we understood even the CIA we talked about. It's very different for every organization, isn't it? So performing all these business impact analysis or the technical risk assessment, those will be done as part of the plan. So at the policies and plan that you create a business continuity plan or a risk management plan. So you'll perform those as part of those plans. Okay, the question is, what's the first thing you need to understand, what you need to do in order to create those plans? So that was the question. Anyway, so finally, just to quickly remind everybody that well, the recordings are available, will be available on YouTube channel for you to review. Those who were late, you're most welcome to watch those YouTube. We will give you a attendance certificate and a CP certificate. Okay, so you just need to complete the feedback at the end of the course. The link is here. I think the link was shared earlier on by Kapil as well. Yes, we have the CISA and CISM both coming up, and so please write to sales@infosectrain.com. I think there's a CISA and a CISM batch planned for November and December. The details will be available at sales@infosectrain.com. Lovely. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending this session and appreciate you being here, participating, and I hope it was a good session for everybody. I look forward to seeing you in some of the upcoming sessions that you plan for both CISA and CISM, and look forward to connecting with you then. Thank you so much. All the best and take care.